My name is Jannike, and I have multiple identities, which often causes me trouble. When I was looking for a suitable title for my talk, I Googled how to live with several identities. Google suggested me to go and see a psychiatrist. What? My talk is about how multiple identities can prevent us from being replaced by robots. I think this topic is relevant because I spoke to many people who told me that they were afraid of losing their job to a robot. The changes we are facing in the work environment can be frightening, but I know what it needs to get through well, and I will explain you in 5 steps how you can make yourself irreplaceable on the job market. When I meet someone new, I'm usually asked, "And what do you do?" There, my problem starts. If I want to end the conversation quickly, I introduce myself as a career counselor. When I'm open to conversation, I try to explain my job situation, which is not that easy, because I teach, I speak, I write, I blog, I network, I experiment, I explore meta levels of work, and last but not least, I test jobs. I then look into puzzled faces, which point to the next questions. But what are you? What is your profession? They want me to give an explicit, simple answer. And so do my family and friends. They would be very relieved if I finally decided for one career path. I once was decided. I worked as a human resources officer in a big company. I had a good hedge. I wanted to step further on the career ladder. Due to a personal crisis and to years of persistent dissatisfaction, I left my old life and I left my job. I was at a loss. What should I do instead? There were too many options and I couldn't decide. I don't know if you know this feeling that you have many opportunities and you simply can't decide which one to choose. Yeah, I was in this situation and I decided to postpone my decision, and I tested there for 30 jobs in 1 year. I worked as a farmer, I worked as a wine grower, an architect, a career counselor, a pathologist, a leisure park operator, a priest, a politician, a midwife, and so on and so on. The surprising realization I made was, I have talents and interests, and I find meaning and joy in things which cannot be clearly assigned to one occupation. I was a little bit disappointed. I wanted my project to give me an explicit, simple answer, something like, become an architect or become a teacher. The explicit answer I got instead was, an entire identity doesn't fit into one occupation. We identify ourselves a lot with our jobs nowadays. This can be explained well by the hierarchy of needs of Maslow. Many of the needs are already fulfilled in our society. Like, we have food, we can live safely, and we have social relationships. Through many developments in the past century, we moved from foreign determination to self-determination. Individualization also applies to jobs. They become more and more individual. Therefore, step number 1 is think in tasks, not professions. If you want to secure your job, you should focus on these tasks which require human skills to be done. But what makes us human? What makes me the particular person I am? What are my individual human competencies? Or simpler, who am I and who do I want to be? In the past, outer constructs like religion, family, clear described jobs gave us a framework on our way to live. The frameworks fall more and more apart. We may and must do the identity work nowadays more and more on our own, which I think is a good development. But it's also difficult, because how does identity work? And especially professional identity work. It's not easy because we have so many opportunities to decide for a job or for different jobs. And if we think in tasks and not profession, it gets even harder. You have so many possibilities. I spoke in my previous TED Talk, What if the job market helped to discover yourself? About ways to discover yourself. And I think the job market provides a good ground for self-discovery. For me, the most formative way to do self-discovery is personal experience. I learned this during my project 30 Jobs in 1 Year. I exposed myself into 30 different contexts, and I spoke to many people, and I tried out a lot of stuff, and I got feedback on the different sides in me, and I got feelings on what suits me, what I bring with me, and what my talents are. If you are, at this point, you are already a big step further, because your human individual competencies are less likely to be automated. Step number 2, therefore, is go on self-exploration and ask who you are. During this process, you will find your talents, you will find out what is fun for you and what is important to you. I'm surprised that many people can't answer these questions right away. And you will find out who you are. I did the same experience. And the good news is, I am not just one, I am many. We all have multiple identities. The question just is, how many of them do we know already, and how many do we live? A quickly changing job market offers us the opportunity to live several of our identities and our sides. The situation where one has one job to pursue the whole life doesn't exist anymore. We can realize our different identities either one after the other or at the same time, for example, in a career portfolio. There is no clear answer needed anymore when asked about our career today. Take me, for example. I add to my portfolio constantly and with wide variation. The good thing is that I stay flexible and I can adapt quickly to changes on the job market. Someone called this once fluid identity. A fluid identity is an identity which can adapt to any given context. You might think, what an amazing suggestion. The world is changing quickly, the job market is changing quickly, the jobs are changing quickly, and now she recommends to change quickly myself. I know. This doesn't sound particularly easy or attractive, but in all these changes, there's one thing which can anchor us, and that is a very solid core. A solid core, truly knowing yourself and your boundaries, allows us to live and to explore our several identities. We are anchored when we can give our life a meaningful context and we can tell our own story. If we want to shape our core, our meaning, these questions can help. What is truly important to me? What is not negotiable? What values do I believe in? What do I want to get up for? Step 3, therefore, is create your own value system. If you have found your core, it creates a good ground for passion and self-determination. Our interior can now serve as a compass, as a tool for decision-making. The direction in which we want to move is clear, but the way we move and the context may change. To avert uncertainty, we have to go into it. I spoke to many people who were on the journey to themselves, and they told me that they were afraid. They were afraid of the unknown. They were afraid of that they might find something they might not gonna like. They were afraid they might find something which would be not worth of loving. I know this feeling. But this is the key point. If we want to make a positive change, we have to have a look on ourselves, we have to have a look on our feelings, on our values, and on our desires. We should go out and take feedback on the different sides in us, and we should explore ourselves in different contexts. What we will find is our core as a human being. And that will never be replaced by a robot. For sure, there will be jobs which will be not there any longer in the future, which we know today. But I believe that everyone can find their place in the future. There is a funny thing in this process. We acquire and expand our competencies. Because those who can act independently can handle self-organization. Those who enter into uncertainties regain imagination and creativity. Those who know themselves have emotional intelligence. And those who know their core and their boundary are good in judgment and decision-making. Step number 4, therefore, is refine your human competencies in practice. To take responsibility for our own life doesn't necessarily mean that we all have to start our own business. On contrary, I explicitly recommend companies to be open for individualization and the identity work of their employees, even if that might mean that the one or the other employee might be lost to the company. The digital environment challenges organizations to be flexible and agile. Organizations need employees who are able to think actively, who are able to learn their whole life, and who are able to work together in networks. You see, not allowing identity work would be stupid and limiting. The 5th step is for all the geeks out there who wants to get an A+. It's related to my current project. It's called 30 Jobs of the Future. It's about future jobs. And I do a lot of research on several topics, for example, AI and genetic engineering. And during my research, I wondered why there are not so many philosophers within companies to give the management different perspectives. I spoke about my idea with several people because usually they want to know what I'm currently working on, and the reactions were the following. One said, I would love to be a corporate philosopher. Another said, I'm doing something like this, but I didn't have a name for it yet. And another one said, I will add this to our strategy. And another one said, I want to book a corporate philosopher. As a result, I am working with a small team on building a platform which promotes and acts as a broker for corporate philosophers. Another example is the job as a network manager. It still needs a fancy name. If you have any ideas, please tell me. A network manager manages analog human networks. He works intuitively, and he knows many people, and he brings them together where he thinks there might be a fit. What he does is he enables undirected innovation within a company. And also for this job, people are interested to introduce it to their company. I would never have thought that having an influence or even shaping the future would be that easy. You just have to go out, talk about your ideas and your needs, and what is very important, you have to know how much you have in your own hands. If you are there, you are not only irreplaceable on the job market, you will even shape it. So the 5th step is shape your future. I want to come to an end here, and I want to finish this talk with a quote by philosopher Hannah Arendt, who said, "The world is created between people." What I found out was the future too. Thank you.